certainly today in the American church, we have the sad reality to recognize that as we look back at the great work of the Reformation, a large portion, a very large portion, sadly, of those who would technically trace themselves back to the Reformation and to the Reformers, on this issue of works righteousness or works to gain something from God, would stand against the Reformers and would stand with Rome. And how has that happened? Well, I think it is absolutely natural for the natural man to seek to have some level of control in the matter of salvation. And so it is, I think church history demonstrates that you look, for example, at the centuries after Augustine, who gives this strong defense of the sovereignty of God and salvation, the freedom of salvation, things like that. It doesn't take long before his perspectives are being modified and the door is being opened to allow people to cooperate and to, as a result, control the matter of salvation itself. And so I think it's just natural for mankind as a whole to try to grab that part of credit and just that a little bit of the glory, and especially the control from God. We don't like the idea. We honestly don't think God is good enough to trust him in the matter of who's going to be saved. We think we are better to trust in that way. And that's a shocking and stunning thing to really think about. But once a system gives in and starts to believe the idea that there are things that we can do that are the necessary mechanisms through which God's grace is to be channeled, there's no stopping place. It's not just a slippery slope; it's a Crisco oiled slope at that point. You're not going to be able to stop from going into a full-blown situation where God's grace becomes something that is fully controlled by man's will. And if grace is to be grace, it can no longer be on the basis of works. That's what Paul said in Romans 11. Otherwise, grace is no longer grace, because grace has to be free. Once grace is controlled by man, it's no longer biblical grace.